Welcome back to NeoEnglish, your daily podcast for learning real English from today's news.
We're so glad you joined us. Today, we have a beautiful story from England. It's all about swans and a very old tradition called swan upping.
Don't worry if that sounds new to you. We'll explain everything step by step. Let's start with the big news. Swan numbers on the Thames River are getting better after a few years of going down.
That's good news. There was some worry before because the number of swans was dropping, or declining. But this year, they did a special search and counted more swans.
Let's pause here. To decline means to go down in number or become less. For example, the number of students declined this year, or sales declined in winter.
That's right. Now, let's talk about swan upping. This is a tradition in England. Every year, on the Thames River, people count the swans in a very old and royal way. It's called a royal survey.
A tradition is something people do again and again, often for many years. For example, we have a family tradition of eating cake on birthdays. Or wearing costumes on Halloween is a fun tradition.
And a survey, that's when people collect information by checking or counting things. For example, the school did a survey to know students' favorite lunch. Or the city does a survey of trees every year.
So, this royal survey, called swan upping, is when a team searches along the Thames for 5 days and counts the swans they see.
Upping comes from the old word up, meaning to lift or check. In swan upping, people used to lift the swans gently to count them and check if they're healthy.
And the Thames, let's explain that. It's a long and famous river in England, flowing through London. For example, the London Eye is near the Thames. Or boats often travel on the Thames.
Now, the news is about the numbers resurfacing after a dip. To resurface means to come back again. For example, old photos resurfaced when I cleaned my room. Or interest in the game resurfaced after the team won.
And dip means a decrease, or going down for a time. For example, there was a dip in temperature last night. Or after a dip in sales, the company is growing again.
So, putting it all together, swans in England were declining, meaning there were fewer and fewer for a couple of years. But after this year's royal swan count, the swan upping, their numbers have resurfaced, which means more swans have been seen again, after a dip or a drop in numbers.
It's positive news for people who care about swans and for the royal tradition. The 5-day search along the Thames helps keep track of the swans and makes sure they are safe and healthy.
Let's recap the important vocabulary and phrases from our story today.
Decline, that means to go down or become less, like the number of people at the park declined.
Tradition, something people do again and again over the years. For example, Thanksgiving is a tradition in the US.
Survey, that's checking or counting information, like the teacher did a survey to see the student's favorite color.
Upping, in this case, looking for and counting swans.
Thames, the famous river in England where the swans live.
Resurface, come back again. For example, feelings can resurface after many years.
And dip, the drop in numbers. For example, there was a dip in ticket sales before the concert.
Here's the story one more way. For many years, people in England count swans on the Thames in a traditional, royal survey called swan upping. For a couple of years, swan numbers were low. But this year, the survey found more swans again. Their numbers are recovering and coming back, which made many people happy.
And remember, we explained how to use those words in everyday English, so you can understand or even join a conversation about this topic.
If you want to keep learning with us and hear daily news in simple English, don't forget to subscribe to NeoEnglish, so you never miss an episode.
Thanks for learning with us today. See you tomorrow with more practical English from the news.